What do you want on your tombstone? And no, I'm not referring to pizza ads, but to the custom of leaving a clever epitaph so that people will talk about you long after you're gone. Some tombstones talk about a person's deeds, such as Robert Clay Allison's. He never killed a man that did not need killing. Tombstones may reflect one's religious belief, like the faith that lies behind Don Edward Sandberg's hopeful direction to return to sender. Or the lack of faith behind this one. Here lies an atheist, all dressed up and nowhere to go. Some are more concerned with their earthly resting place, like Murphy Dreyer, who declares, "This ain't so bad once you get used to it." I'm not sure how he knew that to put it on the stone, but anyway. Famous people can cash in on their reputation, such as Mel Blanc, who provided the voice for Porky Pig, among other cartoon characters, or talk show host Merv Griffin, who will not be right back after this message. And then there's my mother's personal favorite, "I told you I was sick." She'll probably want that on hers, too. Now, it may seem odd to be talking about your tombstone on this happy occasion when we're celebrating your academic achievement, but you're at a crossroads in your life, where the direction in which you turn will have implications for how you live, and ultimately how you'll be remembered. Some people suggest that a good exercise at such turning points is to write your own obituary. This forces you to consider what you want people to say about you when you're gone, and then you can figure out how to get there. Hopefully you have a long time before you have to worry about that, but the decisions that you are making now about vocations, values, relationships, and such things will set the pattern for the rest of your life. And take it from an old dog who has trouble learning new tricks, those patterns are hard to break. We hope that your time here at Allegheny has equipped you to live worthy lives. You came to us 4 years or so ago on the brink of adulthood, formed already by your families, friendships, faith communities, and the other influences on your life to that point. And at Allegheny, you have continued to be shaped, hopefully in positive ways. The students who read today are from various religious life groups here on campus, and they shared readings from their faith traditions that offer guidance on how to live lives of merit and generosity. And for many of you, religious involvement has been an important component of your Allegheny experience. For others, athletics, music, student government, or Greek life has been a formative influence, and for some of you, all of the above. You've crossed paths here with people who might serve as role models, faculty, staff, other students, and community members. You've read about people who lead extraordinary lives, and several times each year we're able to bring such people to campus for a few hours, or if we're lucky, for a day or two, so you could hear and meet them in person. These are people who've made a positive mark on the world, whose deeds don't have to wait for an obituary, but are already making headlines. Among those speakers was Greg Mortensen, author of the best-selling book 3 Cups of Tea, who has built schools throughout Afghanistan and Pakistan and been nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize. Unfortunately, as many of you know, recent allegations that part of his book are fabricated and that his foundation has been grossly mismanaged threaten to overshadow the good that he has done. Regardless of what an investigation of these charges may find, Mortensen's obituary will no doubt fixate on the negative, as recent media coverage has. For just a couple months after Mortensen was on campus, we hosted one of our alums, Tobias Rose Stockwell, who traveled throughout Southeast Asia after graduating with a studio art degree in 2003. So any studio art majors who are wondering what to do with that degree, listen up. Tobias told us about meeting a Buddhist monk in Cambodia who took him for a 3-hour ride on his motorbike, arriving finally at a small village where he and the villagers told Tobias that he was the one they had been waiting for to help them build a reservoir system. Not quite knowing what he was agreeing to, Tobias said, well, sure, okay. And over the next few years, he did just that. Working with Engineers Without Borders and learning how to fundraise along the way, and working with the local Cambodians themselves, they constructed a system that captures water during the monsoon season and allows them to use it during the droughts to grow at least 2 crops of rice each year and lift themselves out of poverty. Before the age of 30, Tobias had founded Human Translation, an NGO aimed at translating human compassion into action. He's been recognized by the Dalai Lama as an unsung hero of compassion, and his organization has gone on to address clean water, education, and other issues that threaten life in parts of Southeast Asia. Here is a young man who has already made a tremendous impact by the way he lives his life, one that models compassion by empowering change at the grassroots level. Another keynote speaker that year was Michael Pollan, whose best-selling books, The Omnivore's Dilemma and In Defense of Food, have changed the way many of us look at what we eat. Pollan encourages us to support local farmers and avoid the heavily processed edible food-like substances that we find in supermarkets and fast food outlets. Soon after Pollan's visit, our campus mourned the death of Jennifer DeHart, a faculty member in the Environmental Studies Department and a local foods activist here in our own community. Current students may not have had her for class since she was unable to maintain a full teaching schedule during the years she was battling cancer. But you may have heard the tributes to her life at her memorial service this past fall. And whether you knew it or not, we are all beneficiaries of how Jennifer DeHart lived her life. Jennifer was instrumental in bringing local growers together at the farmers market, held Saturday mornings May through November at the Needville Market House. The annual local foods dinner on campus is now named for her, as is a fund at the Market House that provides fresh local foods to cancer patients and other at-risk individuals. We benefit more directly from Jennifer's work through the college's close connection to David and Rebecca Vines. Okay, how many of you students have visited or worked at the Vines farm? Wow, a lot of hands. All right, how many of you have ever bought a muffin, a cookie, a scone, or a piece of cake in McKinley's that was marked fresh from the vines? Even more. Without Jennifer, that might never have been possible. At the local foods dinner that followed her memorial service, David Vines told us that it was Jennifer who convinced him it was time to stop driving a truck and start farming full-time. Jennifer was also the first professor to take students to work on the farm. Without her, Fresh from the Vines might just have been a catchy name for a business that David and Rebecca thought about starting at one point in their lives. In the movie It's a Wonderful Life, George Bailey's guardian angel Clarence shows him how life in Bedford Falls would have been different if he had never been born. Down on his luck and with his bank in financial trouble, George assumes that his family and his whole hometown even would be better off without him. Clarence shows George the good he has done and the lives he has changed in living his own quiet life. George's life seems to pale next to his brother Harry's, a college graduate and decorated war hero. But Harry's accomplishments would never have happened if George had not saved him from drowning as a child. We may never know the influence we have on others. Each of you has made a mark during your time here, and Allegheny is a different place because of you. You have affected each other through the friendships you have formed. The classes your professors taught were different each semester because of the students who were in them. A list of names at the start of the term comes together as a unique learning community in which each member has something to contribute. You participated in, led, and even started student organizations. Thanks to some of you, there is now a campus group advocating global health and development that recently raised more than $750 for mosquito nets to prevent deaths from malaria in Africa. At $10 per net, that has the potential to save 75 lives. Your class brought the Invisible Children campaign to campus, collecting books and raising $3,600 for children caught in war-torn Uganda. You are making a mark on the world before you even graduate. The good that you can do from this point on is profound. So what do you want on your tombstone? Or do you even want a tombstone? More and more people are opting for cremation and scattering their ashes in places they love. They are leaving their mark not as a piece of concrete at their burial site, but through the imprint of how they live. Their legacies are good deeds scattered throughout their lives, some that grab headlines, but mostly quiet touches that may send ripples the person never sees. You have plenty of time to think about the tombstone, but the course you set today will determine how you'll be remembered. My wish for you all is that you will live happy and very long lives, and when they draw to a close, that people will say, "Ah, that was a life well lived, and the world is a better place because of it."